Hey Dale,
Yes, Andy.
what's a vintage briefcase?
What's in Vince's briefcase?
No, what's a vintage briefcase?
Oh, I was going to say in Vince's briefcase is
You don't
miniature
want to know.
wrestlers. It's miniature wrestlers that are shaped in a phallus. A vintage,
Handcuffs.
yeah, a vintage. Let's see. Oh, this is where I can insert a line from a great movie. Ready? Swanson, Samsonite. Oh, I was way off.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
from
you
Dumb and
must.
Dumber.
I know what it is.
No, you didn't. You guys have bad movies over there. I
No,
heard
no,
you guys just got duck soup over there.
we love them. We do. We love them.
Okay.
I Dumb and Dumber is one of the best. Right. Okay. So no, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go back. Money in the Bank started what year?
2005. Um,
2005.
yeah, 2005, correct.
All right.
WrestleMania 21.
Correct. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back pre that for the Al Vintage briefcase and see what talent in the WWFE that predated the 2005 start out that we feel like the briefcase would have benefited.
That's a great idea. I wonder who thought that up.
Oh,
But
definitely me.
anyway, I'm thinking of no, I'm thinking of Gordon Gekko walking into an office in 1987 after he figured out that Charlie Sheen knew people at a certain airport in Wall Street. So he had some inside track on inside information. Not going to go back that far yet, but I think if we're talking about one of the heels that probably I'm going with only heels, and I'll explain why later. But I think if we're talking about wrestlers that would have shined in the role of having a Money in the Bank briefcase, men only, by the way, would probably be Owen Hart. Couldn't
Hmm.
you just see Owen tailing around with the briefcase that contained his two Slammy awards in there, screaming, "Woo!"
Yeah. I think with Owen though, it would have depended. I feel like Brett would have had to have the championship in order for that to work.
He would have cashed in as soon as
Yeah.
okay. Let's think Royal Rumble 90, I'm sorry, SummerSlam, blah, blah, blah. Survivor Series 95, right? He just beat Diesel, no key, no DQ match. And then all of a sudden wins with a roll up. That's when he'd cash in.
Yeah.
You could see that immediately after he wins the title. But I do think that when you look at Owen Hart, just the fact that he played his role perfectly as a heel, sniveling, likable at the same time, funny, cheeky, it's all the elements of a surprise cash in that's not a surprise because you always
Hmm.
think it's looming.
Uh,
He would benefit from that spot.
yeah. And I think also when his cash-ins didn't go right, Owen was always great, wasn't he? A throw and a wobbler.
You could put him anywhere on the card. He's still going to give you that same persona, that
Yeah.
same reaction, and you're going to get that same reaction. For me, Owen would have excelled greatly with that.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. For me, my first one I'm going with is Jake the Snake Roberts.
It's a wonderful idea.
Literally because, take away the. I'm not saying he should put the snake in the briefcase because I don't think that'd go down well, but I think like just the psychology from the guy, I think is the best. I think like
I'm
Jake,
only laughing because I can imagine like a snake, like 18 snakes inside one briefcase. And him just trying to shut it close. Like he opens it up and like snake tails are out there and he's trying to get a contract from that.
yeah.
There's all sorts of like fucking like a snake skin on top.
No, I think for him is because of the psychology with him, and he was, he was exactly what he said. He was a snake, wasn't he? And he slithered about and playing mind games with people and stuff like that. I think it'd be really, really good. I really do think
Oh,
he'd be good with it.
and one of the main things you would see him do is when he was more on his heel base, like he would actually look in, peer in through the through the top of the ring and the bottom rope, and he would slide that bag in, right?
Yeah,
Can't you envision him sliding the bag in and then sliding the briefcase in too, just to kind of cash in?
yeah,
I think it'd be something that is definitely would be memorable if it actually happened.
yeah.
I think that's a brilliant choice for that. I'm just picturing him going up a ladder too, especially with his oxygen tank right now. Um, I'm gonna stay in the same time frame, maybe a little bit more advanced, but it's when he was in a heel turn as well. And I think that now we might not automatically think of him as being in the $1 million corporation, but I think 1, 2, 3 Kid as a heel would have been perfect with this briefcase.
Oh yeah.
He
Do
would
you
have
not think? Do you
shined.
not think his time as X-Pac, when the likes of Triple H had the Intercontinental, the the New Age Outlaws had the tag team, he could have been the Money in the Briefcase holder then.
Is this weird to say? But I think he would have excelled with the $1 million corporation as a heel, skip the DX, and go into the X Factor days as him. It would have actually made some relevance to that group. And I think
Mm.
that he would have actually been there. He has the muscle of Albert. Uh he has a friend in Just Incredible. I actually think that it would have made that group a little bit more recognizable. And like to modern times, you have Damian Priest with Judgment Day, which is a preliminary attraction themselves right now,
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
in the group or in the WWE. But I think that X-Pac, I could see him cashing in on anybody. Even like, let's say if Kane won the title, then all of a sudden
yeah,
he cashed in on that. I would have been very good.
yeah. Okay, for me, my next one is going to be $1 million Man, right? Obviously, the guy with the money in the bank. So having the money in the bank with him, with the degree and everything, would have just made sense. Now, for me personally, the way his cash in would have went would have been against another heel wrestler, and he walks out, and instead of actually even physically touching anybody, he opens the briefcase and it just has money in it, and he says, "Lie down." Gets the belt. Everybody's got a price. Mwah, we're away.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
And then whoever that champion was would have done the you sold out.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and then a good promo afterwards was I didn't sell out, I cashed in.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. I think Metallica said that when they cut their hair. Um, anyway, my last one, I think that's a great one. I mean, we think $1 million man. This would have added to the credentials on that. If I'm gonna go all out, I'm gonna say that probably the top dog for me, Kurt Angle. Could you imagine the promos? He didn't need it. All right. I'd like to premise this that as a guy who's won the championship several times over in different companies, including ECW, um, I really think that Kurt Angle would have had some great promos there, the teases. I think it would have been something where he almost called his shot, though, saying, you know what, I'm going to cash in at this point. I think Cena did that too. Or RVD did that. I apologize. RVD did that, if I recall. But I think Angle had enough balls to say, all right, I'm going to let you know when I'm going to cash in.
Mm,
You know, it just would, the program would have been freaking
yeah.
fantastic.
Okay. Now my last one is a bit different, and the reason it's back early days again. I think I went a bit more early days with this one because a lot of the wrestlers that were in the later times, probably 98 to 2005, potentially were still about that could have won the money in the bank. So I kind of went for people that was nowhere near that. I mean, Angle's an amazing pick. But my last one is Mr. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
Reason being is I think that one, he had the promo skills and everything else to deal with that. He was a dastardly heel. And probably the bigger one more than anything is for some reason, Kurt never made that jump between Intercontinental and World Championship. Obviously, Bret Hart took that spot when he beat him, and Kurt never really made that jump up to the top of it. And I
Hmm.
feel like the Money in the Bank briefcase would have benefited him. So rather than the likes of Jake the Snake or $1 Million Man, where I feel like that would have just been great storytelling and great thing, I feel like as a performer that would have benefited Kurt, Mr. Perfect, and it would have got him up there.
Great idea. In
Mm.
hindsight, would it increase or decrease the value of Heenan talking to him? I'm talking about him.
No, 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 because he could be the strategic behind when he cashes it in and when he doesn't.
Yeah. This man right here, he could do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
He
I
could
mean,
say, I can imagine him doing those
yeah, as you could, I
promos.
could even imagine the actual cash-in being where Bobby Heenan walks out with the briefcase, gives it to the referee, and Kurt Angle comes in. Sorry, Kurt Hennig comes in the ring from behind,
Yep.
attacks and wins.
Yeah.
A
I'm
few honourable mentions. Obviously, we're going to wrap this up now, but a few honourable mentions from me. Rick Rude would be a good one. Eddie Guerrero would have been a fun one. And then somebody like a Test or Ken Shamrock, it could have benefited maybe.
yeah, yes, I agree with that. Or potentially it's like a heel Val Venus.
Hmm.
I think it was key. The closest thing we got to that, I think, was Edge. I mean, Edge was probably one of the more memorable ones. But yeah, I think these guys are all great selections. They could have been something where you could have had a great program, great run of TV with any of those people that we listed. Guys, let us know in the comments if you have any other suggestions on who would have excelled in this role.
Yep, before it was an actual thing. Right, guys, let's wrap this bad boy up then.
And Andy,
Oh, Dale, I think I've lost you there for some reason. Now you're back again. But let's wrap this
hi.
bad boy up anyway. Guys, yeah, as Dale says, let us know in the comment section what you feel like your ones would have been. Anybody that wasn't able to compete in the Money in the Bank because it was predated. And who do you think it would have won? Being fun to win the Money in the Bank, and two, who it would have benefited. But from me, Andy, until next
Okay.
time, wipe it properly.